So, Amrit, what would be your three pieces of advice for someone looking at the home care franchise sector specifically? So they've narrowed it down from they don't want to do food because it's too capital intensive. They like home care. They don't want to maybe do a care home. So what would be your three pieces of advice?
So I think if you split that into two segments and say the three pieces of advice before you buy a franchise is number one, speak to lots of different franchisors. It's very exciting to go to the shows or watch this video and think I like this guy, I'm going to buy Walfinch or whatever it might be. But I would say go and speak to 5, 6 different brands and really understand what's out there. So do your research in the different brands, and shoot myself a little bit in the foot by saying that. But if I was buying a franchise, I would speak to multiple different franchisors. Second of all, I would understand what the type of support that I receive is. And I'd really like to kind of break that down and say, well, what does that look like over a year, a month, a week? What's the different types of support? Is it online? Is it offline? Is it in person? Is it financial? Is it emotional? What type of support does a franchisor actually give me? And if possible, I'd really like to, if I was buying a franchise now and I was advising my 22-year-old self when I was buying it, I would say, I want to go and speak to the support team directly before I've signed and bought this franchise. I want to know who are the people that are buying this and do I sort of connect? And I appreciate people come and go in businesses, and that's normal, but it's really understanding what the thinking behind the team is, and really understanding that the franchisor understands that support is really the key element here. And the third piece of advice that I would say is be well funded, because the easiest way to kill a business is to not be well funded. And so that's before buying a franchise. And I think, talking about funding, certainly at this moment in time, I'd probably say that you're looking at, around £120,000, on average, and that might be a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on where you are in the country, how quickly you pick up, and the burn ratio on capital. But I'd like to make sure that you're properly funded. And I found that really difficult when I have started businesses in the past, and some I've been well funded for. But my first business, I bought the business, I had enough capital for that, but I didn't have any working cap, and I was like, oh gosh, And so I just had to run really fast to sort of make sure that I was earning enough money every week to then keep the bills flowing and all that. And that is very, very hard. So being well funded is super important. On the other side of that, I've bought a franchise in home care, love the whole thing, love the concept, great franchisor, wonderful support, have the capital. Now what? What are my three pieces of advice there? I'd say, really understand your local area. Go street by street, understand who lives here, what kind of switches them on, where does my carer hang out, where does my client hang out? And when I say hang out, I mean, what do they read, where do they have their coffee, and their families. Really understand that, because then I understand, how to market in that area. The second bit is be active. The thing I always say to my team is, if you are faster, you will win. Keep moving and just keep doing the next thing, because the speed at which you can operate, whether that means that you're going to 2 networking events today as opposed to 1 in a week, whether that means that you're putting out that extra poster up in that pharmacy or whatever it might be, just getting out and just taking action and just doing it. So one of the things I've said to myself this year is, if I need to do something, just do it right now. So I was at an event the other day, and I've been speaking to the same person, and every time we see each other, we say we must get a coffee or a lunch date in. And I pulled out my phone and said, great, right, when are we doing this? And we booked something in like 8 weeks' time, because that was the next time we could align. But then it's done. So be faster. That's the kind of first two pieces of really getting in, understanding your area, and then taking that action and having the speed. But the third thing is planning. I work on a model called Traction, which really gives me my 10-year goal and breaks out right down to my 90-day segments, and I plan my business. And I've done that since I was a franchisee, Actually, I came across it in a different format. It was a one-page gazelle business plan, whereas actually really it comes from this model called the Entrepreneurial Operating System from a gentleman called Gino Wickman and a book called Traction. And I would recommend every business owner, regardless of sector, to read it and really sort of fundamentally plan, what am I up to this quarter? How is that going to help me get to my 10-year goal? And engage your team in it. I used to have my registered manager involved in it. We used to, link bonuses to it, and the bonus might have been, we're going to go and watch Mamma Mia in theatre, all the way to I sent an RM to Bordeaux for a weekend, and whatever that might be, big or small. But let's celebrate the quarter. Let's get some wins, and let's keep moving. So planning would be that third piece. Write it down, stay true to it, and keep coming back to it. And it's okay if you don't hit that, but we'll just be more realistic next quarter. We'll start to understand what we've done and what we could do differently.